How are you?
Yeah, very well.
Kate from Getty Images. Very excited to have you on board.
Well, I'm excited as well. Frankie was telling me all about it yesterday, so yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Speaking of on board, how's your boat?
I didn't go on it.
Oh no!
No, so because they were really strict with health and safety, and they could only allow certain people on the yacht. So my boss, Rebecca Swift, was on it, and a few others. But unfortunately, they could only allow a certain amount of people on there, and because we'd invited a lot of clients, as you can imagine, clients took precedent over Getty Images stuff.
Boom.
I know. But I hear. So the nice thing is, I have heard it was great.
Well, we've seen it. But we haven't been on it.
It looks like a little bit like a mini Titanic, doesn't it? It's,
yeah, it's got those fantastic turrets.
Yeah, I think Mark is actually staying on it, so that's his
see.
hotel
Nice.
for the
Okay, great, sorry.
his hotel for the week.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
That's the way to do it.
let's start with how your can's been. Like, how have you enjoyed the week? Has it lived up to expectations this year?
Yeah, I've loved it. I mean, I've this time round. So previously, so I've been with Getty a long time.
How long?
14 years.
Wow.
I took a bit of a break. I was a pastry chef for 2 years, so took a career break, became that.
Real career change.
Yeah, complete change. But then so I was in sales before, and I've now been in the creative department for about 8 months.
Okay.
So I'm coming at it. So I have been before to Cannes, but I'm coming at it from a creative angle. So it's been really interesting actually this year. No, I've loved it. I've been the one that's been going. So I heard the other lady before, and she said that there are two strands: either people who do the parties or people who do the talks.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the one that's been in the talks, one after the other.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've been one of those. I've been up bright and early, in for 10, and literally my schedule is jam packed with talks that I'm going to go and see.
What's it like then?
Yeah.
We haven't
You haven't gone in.
No.
I mean, I loved it. And the thing is because of the team that I'm in, which is the Global Insights team, we're constantly trying to look at what the next thing is, because we do the content strategy of Getty Images. And so we want to try and see what the next thing is visually to then to get our photographers or videographers to shoot that content in advance. So from my perspective, it's just been, okay, they're thinking this, they're thinking that. But of course, you never look at it in isolation, but it's a great way of getting loads of information all at once in one jam-packed week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
How about you? So you've been...
So we've been here a lot. If I'm honest with you, I could
it's
make
a nice
out.
spot. I mean,
It
you've
is
got
nice.
the
Yeah,
the
there are
sea
worse
right there.
spots,
I was
yeah.
going to say the weather's been great.
We
as well.
we don't get tickets.
Right.
So we haven't even got access to as much as we'd actually quite like to go and see some of the things that are on at the Palais. We haven't got tickets. We come here for the Fringe event to try and make the most of Cannes outside of the Palais. But it's been great to speak to a few different people this week who have made the most of talks and been to see some amazing people, which I'm sure you have as well.
And are there any others? So along the beach, because you can. I don't know whether you need a pass to go into them or not, but can you get into those and hear the panel discussions?
So all of these ones we do go to,
Okay,
and there are panels all along the beach. So the Fringe side of it, there's
that-
still a lot of talking going on. There's a lot of, I mean, you can see the Verizon thing next. There's panels all day.
WPP
right?
are there,
It's
Verizon
WPP
there.
next, panels all day.
Yeah.
So there is lots of stuff happening outside. Last year, when we said to people, should we go to Calais? Unanimously, everyone went, don't waste your time.
Oh, really?
And this year, everyone's gone, there's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
So it's changed my opinion anyway for next year. I think next year I will get a pass and go in there and listen to it. But something must have changed. Or I've just spoken to different
Types of people, yeah.
I mean, I have done some of the Fringe events and I've enjoyed those as well, because I think what's nice is that a lot of them are the panel discussion, so you get a really nice kind of broad view of what different people are saying. But yeah, I have to say the actual talks for me this year, I think have been really interesting.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
One that stands out to you?
Oh goodness! I mean, this is my pad of all the notes that I'm writing. I think the one that was, I suppose, from a visual perspective, doesn't relate, but then equally relates in many ways, is I saw a talk with Steven Pinker, the professor at Harvard, and he was talking about the art of asking questions. But what I thought was interesting is that he was saying, he's talking around sort of AI specifically, and he was saying that, the way we're training a lot of the computers at the moment is to be able to answer our questions, but not to think about what the questions might be. So that was just interesting hearing from a different perspective how we're training those models. And then visually, then that's quite interesting for me to think, well, if we're training computers just to answer the questions, then what will that also visually look like? How can you put visuals against those sort of things if we're just looking at answers? So I found him really interesting, and also because he's got all these really interesting stats that we've apparently got 40,000 nouns and 4,000 verbs. So we have 40 million different ways of how we can start a sentence. So he was looking at language and how we can use language. So I thought his was quite different.
Yeah,
in
very.
many
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Okay.
So that one I've really enjoyed. I also enjoyed another one called The Visual Diet, which was on the Monday. And it was talking about social media. So you guys will. I've got questions for you actually as well.
Okay, great, good.
Because I want to know about your business as well. But they were talking again. There's obviously everything from it being negative and also positive social media. But they were talking about if you put inspiring, good content, and again good. You have to sort of define that even further.
Yeah.
It makes people feel better. Whereas if you put content that isn't good, and as I say, that needs to be defined slightly, people's anxiety goes up by 70%. So again, that's really interesting. I found that a really good one. I could go on, so I'll leave it at that.
No, it is interesting. So a broad scope of different topics, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And in terms of Getty Images, the value they get out as a business out of Cannes, like what are the people from Getty trying to achieve here?
So specifically this year we're here with, you may have already seen it. So we worked on a project with Dove and Girl Gaze, and it's this project called Show Us. So we've created the world's largest stock photo library of it's a collection called Project Show Us. And it's created by women or female identifying, non-binary women. And it's the first time that that's happened in the scale that it's happened. So the agency itself, they're up for a glass lion, but also for us, just in terms of promoting that even more, because of the scale of what it's been done at and the way we've collaborated with Dove and Girl Gaze on it. So from our perspective, it's really trying to, on one hand, obviously promote that collection in itself, but also to try and get the media and advertising to change how women are represented. So I think that's really been the main driver for us this year. We're taking action, Dove are taking action, Girl Gaze are taking action. We want everybody else to join us in that and to try and smash those stereotypes.
I think that's probably what Cannes really should be used for, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got the people that have the ability to actually make these changes across media all in one place, right?
Yeah.
So if you use it as a forum, we had Josh Coombs on, the homeless
he was
hairdresser,
great.
at the beginning of the week.
I saw him.
He's brilliant.
You watched him on Monday.
He was the
What was he
secret
like?
speaker.
So we had him on an hour and a half before, and he went,
lovely.
"I'm the secret speaker, so people are watching. See me at 2:10."
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Yeah,
And,
well, I did see him.
Was he good?
He was excellent.
Yeah. So he,
really
Unbelievable story.
he was on the,
just phenomenal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was on the podcast that morning, as Harry said, and that was the first time where I thought, Christ, I hope everybody's watching this, because there's so many of us. And I said to him, listen, we can do more. Let's chat when we get back. We're going to try and do some things to help around that. But everybody here has the ability in some way or another to help in a much bigger scale than just on a one-to-one individual basis, right?
Yeah.
We've got the controllers of, all media all over the world, whether it's the platforms, whether it's the holding groups, like if all of those buy into something, it can actually make a difference straight away.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with you actually, and I think that's what it is. And what's really been great about doing this project is also it's not about trying to do it on your own. It's actually the more people you can collaborate, the more that change can happen, and that's really what we're wanting to do. Is the more of us, Dove identified that they also needed to collaborate in order to make this get a kind of, if you like, to make those changes happen.
Yeah.
We need all of us into this and involved in it and doing our little bit towards that. So I couldn't agree more. And Josh was wonderful, and he even got Morgan Freeman. National Geographic, he was saying on his talk, that got involved.
Well, he really set up a movement, which is an individual doing his own thing, and then the hashtag he set up is has created a movement completely across the world where everyone's adding their own different element to it. It's not just people going out cutting hair, it's people just doing good things for other people.
Which is wonderful.
Which is, there's nothing better really than that. Is if everyone can do a little bit more than that, the world's certainly going to be a better place. So, and there's not enough of it in our industry, that's for sure. So,
No, I completely agree. So, I mean, and that's actually one of the things I've certainly found with a lot of these talks is that people are really wanting to make that genuine change.
Yeah.
And that's really inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, hopefully next year there'll be more, right? There'll be more people like that coming down, giving a platform. I think they've got 3 across the week.
Right.
Maybe they should have 10 a day. See if they can actually.
There's rumours that one of the secret speakers is a guest on the podcast today, as well as on Monday.
Can you say who it is?
I let them introduce themselves before I get told off by the person who's bringing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really interesting concept as well. That secret speaker.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Like,
really...
you know, you turn up at an auditorium, you genuinely have no idea what to expect. I really like that as a concept, especially as a short, like a 15-20 minute talk rather than a 45-minute talk where you could have committed for something that you've just got no interest in. But 15 minutes of something that's social good, really nice storytelling, which Josh was fantastic at, and we had 45 minutes of his time in that morning, and it was very clear that he's a great storyteller, and I imagine that 15 minutes was packed full of really, really insightful, humbling stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's your role at Getty?
Just a quick question, actually, coming in. Sorry, from Esme.
Okay.
So, Esme Rice, who's actually marketing manager at Goat. Hi, Esme. Amazing work from Getty. Does Kate find Cannes has been more female focused this year compared to others? And I'll caveat by saying that, in my experience, this is not an equal this is a very undiverse setting.
Yeah,
you know, we've had comments on the podcast saying we need more female speakers, and I'm going, yeah, I agree, but we're trying. You know what I mean? It's difficult because it seems to me when you're out at a bar, it is 90% white men, right? Over the age of 40, 45. Like, it just seems to me. What's your perspective on that?
I completely agree, and I think this is why this project that we've done, but we're not the only ones, and lots of others here in Cannes are also trying to change that. I think it's just going to take a bit of time. What I really like that I've been hearing is that everyone wants to do something about it. I think now something that we're doing and Dove have done, but what I'd hope that others do is now really take that action forward. Because the thing is one thing is talking the talk, and the other thing is walking that talk, and I think that's the crucial difference. So to Esme's question, definitely I'd say gender is hugely a topic. LGBTQ, as you can imagine, is also part of that, and just general diversity and inclusion, I'd say is really strong this year. But to your point, it's exactly that. What people are talking about versus what we're actually seeing. It kind of needs, so the same way as we're trying to push much more, having more women photographers, more female identifying photographers, and equally non-binary, so that we are being much more diverse, not just in front of the camera but behind the camera. That's what we want to try and see with the industry, is that also the people creating that content is equally as diverse as the content that they're putting out. So yeah, I
mean, I'll be honest, I see hypocrisy when I look at, you look at all these holding groups. The big thing they talk about first and foremost is always diversity. We've got WPP next to us, not to pick them out individually, but I walk past that every couple of hours, and it's not diverse in there. It's weird, and I think we are at a stage where everybody says it, but people aren't doing it, and I think that does need to be corrected significantly. And we can't be pro-diversity and pro-inclusion if we don't actually own it ourselves, right? And we're probably guilty of that as much as anybody else is, but
I mean, I think we've all got work on that level to do, and I think, but the fact that we're talking about it, hopefully now the next step is really taking that action. But I agree. I think there's still more work to be done.
So back to my question about what your actual role is at Getty. What are you doing day to day when you're not in the beautiful south of France, soaking up incredible talks at the Palais? What is your role?
So my title is Senior Manager Creative Insights, and as I alluded to earlier, we essentially are the content strategy arm of Getty Images. So we have all our data is something that also is coming up a huge amount. We've all got loads of data, and we are also very privileged to have an enormous amount of data. We can see what our customers are literally keywording in onto the website, and also seeing what they're actually downloading, so what type of content is selling. And so we look at all of that along with the external data that we analyse, and then we try and identify what is it what are the insights that we're seeing, in order then to shoot that content in advance, so that any other customer that then comes in, by the time they're looking for that content, it's already on the site, shot and ready to go. So we're kind of always trying to be ahead of the curve of what type of content we need to be shooting.
Okay, nice.
So we tell our art directors, our contributors who all work with us, to shoot that content.
So that plays a lot into why you're here, right? Which is understanding ahead of time what's going to be the trend, what's going to be interesting for the consumer.
Yeah, exactly. And visually, what does that look like, so that then we can get that shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And is this your first Cannes, or is it?
As coming from a creative perspective, yes. I came 2 years ago, or was it a year ago? My memory is a little bit dodgy, obviously. I think it was a year ago. From a sales perspective.
Okay.
So yeah, this is my second year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you're obviously doing it slightly differently because of the roles that you've.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
had,
So there was
right?
much more networking last year, as you probably can imagine.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, it's. I mean, there is an element of networking, purely because of, again, this initiative is to try and change the media and advertising the way women are being represented. So there is obviously an element that we're wanting to tell everybody about it and get people involved. But then yes, there's the talk part that I also don't want to miss.
Yeah, and your colleagues at Getty are doing a great job in doing the networking for you.
I imagine they are.
Yes,
I imagine
they
are.
they're great- yes.
They are.
They
I know
are.
that I know Rebecca Swift, who's my boss. She's doing a great job. I think she is, on panel discussions galore. She's
Great.
doing interviews because we want people to take action.
Good.
I
Nice.
feel like I'm fighting the fight, but no, it's. I think if we can, we want it to happen.
Yeah.
Nice. And if you were to do Cannes again next year,
Yeah.
would you find a hybrid of the two different ways you've done it? You spend some time in the Palais, soak up some of the talks, and also do the beaches and the parties, or would you kind of do it again in the
Do you
same
know,
way?
I would actually try and think, because it was, I think, where the lady before was also from LinkedIn was saying, is it's trying to get the balance right, which is always a challenge, because you see all the talks and you think almost all of them sound interesting.
Yeah.
So then you think, okay, well, which one do I really want to see? Which one should I see? Then there are the fringe events, which I think, again, also are quite interesting. So you think, which of those do I want to see as well? And then by the time you get to the evening, you're thinking, I'm exhausted. I just want to go to bed. So I think it's trying to get the balance, and I think that's the only difference I would do, is try as much as I possibly can, plan it even more. But how possible that is, because again, when you're here, you might have everything planned, and then certain things happen. Time definitely is very different in Cannes to when you're in a working environment.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well,
And you kind of you need to break your plans a little bit. You need to find yourself in an interesting conversation, think, I'm going to stay with this actually, and forget the next one. And I find that, I met someone on Monday. They came for an hour meeting. They sat for lunch at 1:00. Sat down and said, listen, I've got to go. 2:00, I've got to go. 3, I've got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. He was still here at 6:00. And it was just, and we built a relationship over that period of time. We weren't selling, we weren't doing any of that, but we, not just with me, but there was 10 or 12 people around the table. There was an actual connection made there. And I think those are also powerful points of Cannes, is that slightly deeper connection with someone than the sort of 2-minute, this is what I do, thanks very much, because you don't get that in London. We're all so busy and running around, you don't get the opportunity to actually go, so what do you like doing?
and
rather
have
than
a nice conversation.
Yeah.
I agree.
with a bit less pressure. I don't think anyone sold to me this week. I haven't really told anyone, tried to sell anyone, or tried half the people. I haven't even told them what I do or anything. It's just, we're just people and we're having a conversation.
And that's lovely. Yeah, I agree. Actually, that is really, really nice to just meet them on a human level.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say it doesn't matter here. I ask people what company they're from, but not what their title is. It's not about whether you're CEO or you're an account exec, right?
It's true. Yeah.
It's okay. You're in that industry, so we might have some shared thoughts about something, but it doesn't. We're not trying to pitch, so it's not. I need to make sure that you're the decision maker, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's been lovely having you on. You said you've got a few
I
questions
do,
for
That's
us.
the
actually.
secret speaker.
I do have purely because I was looking at your website actually yesterday in terms of global influencers, and one thing that I've definitely been hearing both at Cannes but equally back home is how that influencer is actually changing, and some people are now, there's kind of started to become, it would appear, a bit of a backlash. And how do you see that authenticity, if you like, following through on social media? What are your views on the influencer? And I'd love to know your future thinking on that, actually.
I think it's changing all the time. I think when we came into the market 4 years ago, the word influencer meant something very different to what it means now.
Yeah.
I think over the last 18 months, it's become more of a prominent marketing practice that is scaled right into the fact that social is actually what we're talking about, not influencer marketing. It's a buzzword, and last year's Cannes proved that in the fact that it was all over the news. Keith Weed slagging influencer marketing off, and that's been an interesting shift. And we talked about it 3 days ago on this podcast about the fact that the traditional media are never going to support this because it goes directly against their budgets. So with the traditional press, they're the ones who are going to carry the story. It's very difficult for them to write in a positive way about it. But yeah, I mean, content creators are winning. Authenticity is incredibly important. Human stories, and stories like Josh's on Monday was a great example of someone who's created influence through doing something great and telling great stories to an audience that cares.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of
I think influence is the wrong
well.
word. But influence, if you're an influencer, there's an assumption that you can influence an audience, and not all content creators can influence their audience. So really, it's about talking about content creators. Content creators start off by creating niche content to a niche audience, and then they tend to build up. When the press has started to sort of, anyone with a following becomes an influencer, and so you end up, with these Love Island people being influenced, stuff like that. That's not, we wouldn't consider them that, right? Because they haven't got a niche audience or anything. And we know if we want to sell something for a brand, the only way we can do that is if we put the right, a niche message through a niche audience in the right way. So if you've got this just general audience, you are just throwing crap. It's just money away, right? And that's, you saw Tommy Fury today.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got 900,000 followers, 600,000 are fake. Yeah. So his management team, I assume, have just gone and bought followers, thinking, we'll go to the brands, they'll pay us 20 grand a post, but they won't. The first one will. And then they realise,
I think people are getting found out.
I
think that's the key. 2 years ago, it was such a hype machine that everyone wanted a part of it, and because there was so much money going through the industry, people wanted to get in, and therefore that creates bandits, people that are just trying to make money fast. And we built this business based on a sustainable future for the influencer market, and believing that influencer marketing has a huge amount of sustainability long term in the advertising space rather than just the influencer marketing space. And that's kind of where our position is, and that's why we tried to professionalize it, tried to educate influencers and actually how to be businesses, and also educate businesses about how to use influencers correctly, and not just throw stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks, which I think was a real trend 3 to 4 years ago.
We basically get around that by, we guarantee results, and then once we guarantee results, clients will listen to us because their opinion on it, well, okay, that's fine, but I can't guarantee the results. If you want to use that person, you just happen to like them. And I think another problem is that jealousy of the perceived lifestyle of an influencer is that they're lazy, they don't really do anything, it's really easy, they literally just wake up, post a picture, that's all they do all day. But actually it's hard. It's a lot harder work than people give credit for. It's from a mental health point of view, is awful, and it's not a route that I would suggest people go down unless you're really, really self-confident and you have an actual belief in yourself. If you're not, and you think this will give you confidence, it will not. You're then at the whim of the mob, essentially. But I think the perception is it's easy. It's just take a picture in a bikini or something like that, and you're an influencer. Actually, content creators are, producing content, spending hours and hours a day doing it. It's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, on that level, us as a company can definitely agree. If you're going to try and be authentic and true with what you're doing, it's not just something that you just pick up in the morning. It needs research, it needs thought, it needs all sorts of other things before you can just put out any old image or video, whatever it might be. Yeah.
And the best YouTubers struggle to put out more than a video every couple of weeks because it's hard. It's hard. 7 or 8 minute video, it might take them 2 weeks to put that together because
Yeah.
it's
You've got to plan it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they know if they put out something that's bad, they might lose 5% of their audience from it, and it starts to decline. They can't do it. They've got to keep the quality up, keep the views up. So it's tough.
Kate, thank you
Brilliant.
so
Thank you
much
very
for
much.
joining
Really
us. We
appreciate
really
it.
appreciate
Thank you.
it. We're going to let you get back to the
Lovely.
Palais,
Thank
soak
you.
up some more
Lovely to meet
information.
you.
Thank
Thanks a
you
lot.
so much.